Good morning and welcome to Korea Today live from Seoul.
A long time coming, or 16 years to be more specific. The family of former President Chun owns up and says it will pay the $150 million in unpaid fines and vows an apology.
The two Koreas have yet to decide the date to resume operations at the Kaesong Industrial Complex. More coming up in the headlines.
The former president's plans to repay its debt is also big news on the papers. We'll show you how they covered it.
And it's called the Owl Bus. I'll tell you about a new bus service here in Seoul that could be very useful for all you night owls and early risers.
Age is simply a number. The term too old is ancient history. A growing number of people in their 60s, 70s, and older are enjoying more diverse activities, and they're doing it with style. Farming in the concrete jungle. Many Seoulites are opting to use small patches of land in the middle of the mega capital to harvest honey and sweet pears on Korea Today, Wednesday, September 11th, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Good to have you with us on this Wednesday morning. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in. Now, university education has become pretty much a requirement in many professions, with many employers searching for the graduates from the top schools. And speaking of top schools, Korea's Seoul National University was ranked 35th in the world rankings, and that's by the QS World University Rankings. That's up 2 notches from last year, and a personal best, or actually the best for the school, an all-time best.
That's right. Seoul National University is the one university that most students in Korea would kill to get in. Now, this list compares the world's top 800 universities based on 6 indicators, including academic reputation, employer reputation, and student-to-faculty ratio, among others. And the MIT topped the list, followed by Harvard and Cambridge University, University of Cambridge. And if anyone's interested, my alma mater, Korea University, ranked 145th. And I'm still very proud.
Oh, sounds good.
It's not impressive, I know, but...
Well, I mean, it's still a great school, and at the same time, there are many schools that would kill to get into Korea University as well.
That's true.
All right. And we have a lot more coming up on your headlines on Korea Today. We'll start with Na Hyun-kyung.
16 years is how long it took former military dictator Chun to pay off his fine for staging a coup and receiving bribes. That is, if the payments are made within this year. Chun's eldest son, Chun Jae-guk, told the public on Tuesday that family members will make sure his father's remaining more than $150 million fine is all paid to state coffers.
I gave earnest answers to the prosecution's questions. I told them our family intends to do our best in paying off all of the remaining fines. Once again, I sincerely apologize for causing any public concern.
The two older sons will each likely cough up nearly $55 million, while the daughter, the youngest son, Chae-man, and his father-in-law will also shoulder some of the fines. Prosecutors, however, stressed that investigations into some of their tax evasion charges will continue and be treated separately from paying off the remaining fines. President Park Geun-hye, who's on the last leg of her state visit to Vietnam, has called for further support for Korean companies operating in the Southeast Asian country. The president asked Ho Chi Minh City officials to ease regulations for the employment of foreign workers, as well as to provide tax incentives for businesses that invest in Hanoi. She also toured the biggest Korean company operating in the so-called economic capital of Vietnam. Her senior presidential secretary for economic affairs told reporters that President Park's trip to the company was aimed at rebalancing bilateral trade by encouraging more Korean firms to invest in Vietnam and make products there for third country exports. TEPCO, the operator of the crippled Fukushima nuclear power plant, has contradicted claims made by the Japanese government. The operator reiterated tritium, a radioactive isotope, is leaking into the ocean, contrary to Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's statement last week that radiation leaks from the site were, quote-unquote, completely under control. TEPCO added underwater fences installed around the plant are not capable of blocking the leaks since they are designed designed to only stop matter or mud from passing through. And meanwhile, Japanese fisheries officials are reportedly planning on visiting Korea to ask Seoul to lift its ban on all imported Japanese fisheries products coming from the Fukushima prefecture and 7 neighboring regions. A joint management committee meeting between the two Koreas over the jointly run Kaesong Industrial Complex is still underway for some 20-plus hours since Tuesday morning. Committee members have been discussing when to reopen and resume operations at the factory zone. They're also discussing ways to protect South Korean workers and their assets, as well as compensation measures for the 5-month-long suspension. While the two sides are expected to release a statement on the outcome of the meeting, there is still the possibility of setting another date for further talks. Now, this is the second meeting of its kind after Seoul and Pyongyang agreed to form the joint committee last month, and nearly 5 months after North Korea abruptly halted operations amid heightened inter-Korean tensions. It is not yet time for the head delegates of the six-party talks to get together, according to U.S. top nuclear envoy Glenn Davies. After an hour-long meeting with his South Korean counterpart Cho Tae-yong in Seoul on Tuesday, he said he doesn't believe the conditions for resuming the stalled talks have been fulfilled.
We need to see some sign that they are sincere about what is the central issue of the six-party process, which is the peaceful denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
He added China's recent proposal for an informal meeting between the six-party member nations would be helpful in gathering academic opinion on North Korea, but only if Pyongyang first works toward fulfilling its obligations. In the meantime, at a defense consultative meeting between the U.S. and China in Beijing, U.S. officials called on North Korea's key ally to maintain and increase pressure on Pyongyang and urged the regime to start authentic negotiations aimed at denuclearization.
And happy Wednesday, everyone. It was expected, but it's still big news nonetheless. Former President Chun DooHwans and his family have officially promised to pay his long overdue fine for staging a coup and collecting bribes, a decisive change in stance from the strongman before. We'll begin a look at how the newspaper covered this big news with a look at the front page of 조선일보. The headline reads, Chun family says residence, family burial grounds, etc. 167 billion won, or 154 million US dollars in payment to be made. And the picture shows the former president's eldest son, Jae-guk, bowing before the press after issuing an apology on behalf of the family in front of the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's office. Now, the 54-year-old said his family was deeply regretful to the people for taking so long to settle the issue of the defaulted fines. The family's repayment plans, Chosun reports, will include mostly of real estate owned by the former president's children in Seoul and Gyeonggi province, as well as the family ancestral burial grounds, essentially a mountain, and the house in Yeonghee neighborhood that Chun DooHwans and his wife has been living in for decades. The son did request authorities that his parents be allowed to reside in that home even after it is turned over to the state. And scooting on over to 중앙일보 now, its headline emphasizes the pledge that was a long time coming. It reads, after holding out for 16 years, a bow of apology. And it highlights the notable change in posture from the Chun DooHwans in December of 1995, you see right there, when he promised to not cooperate with prosecutors' probe on him. And 18 years later, his son bowing in apology, the son who was believed to have penned that so-called Ali manifesto that his father had proclaimed back in 1995. Scooting on over to Gyeongyang now, its headline reads, after 16 years, a white flag of surrender, over a timeline that captures those 16 long years that passed. We'll go ahead and take a closer look at it. Between the Supreme Court ruling back in 1997 through today, right here in September 10th, 2013. Now, in 2003, the former president made the infamous statement that he couldn't afford to pay the fine because he only had 290,000 won, or $260 to his name. He did pay some 3 million won in May of 2010 after his wife paid some 20 billion won, or $18 million of her own money 6 years earlier. Now, the heat on Chun took to a new level when the National Assembly, in a rare display of unity, passed the so-called DooHwans Act in June of this year, allowing the state to extend its probe to family members and associates of Chun. This opened up investigators to confiscate large amounts of assets in July and to bring in Lee Chang-seok, Chun's brother-in-law, for questioning, leading to yesterday's submission of that plan to remit some $154 million in assets. The question now in the government's hands will be how to translate those assets into cold, hard cash. Scooting on over to 동아일보 now, the headline reads, a promise to foot fines in full, but Fifth Republic recompense left unpaid, adding at the end of that article there that the plan is submitted, but the implementation remains. And it says other questions about the dictatorial rule of the Chun DooHwans reign remains, and that there are voices still calling for an apology from the former president himself. So we'll wrap our look at the papers on that story there and take a look at some business headlines. This headline reads, China's 8% growth next year, no hard landing. And the 8% growth outlook mirrors the projection we talked about this time last week by the OECD. This time, the comment comes from a Chinese economist from China's National Economic Research Institute, who will be in town for the World Knowledge Forum hosted by the newspaper next month. He answered to concerns from Western economists, specifically on the debt of local governments and also shadow banking. And he said that the loans that those local governments are making are going toward building infrastructure, which will create profit in the future, adding that the steady growth of the Chinese economy expected, there is almost no possibility that the local government will default on their debt. On China's banking system, he highlighted the more positive aspects as well as the reforms that it is undergoing on its conventional uniform bank loan systems. And with that, we will wrap your look at what's in print on this Wednesday. Next up are your closing numbers from Tuesday's market action.
Time now to get a check on the weather with our Lee, who is joining us from Poulsen in Gyeonggi Province. It was raining cats and dogs earlier today on our way to work.
Yes, it has slowed down just a tad bit, but I'm sure it's raining where Tommy is. Tommy,
Look
good
at
morning.
her in pink.
She dresses in style.
Right?
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm reporting live from Poulsen, Gyeonggi Province. Now, currently it is raining this Wednesday morning. It did start late afternoon yesterday on a quiet note, but this morning it did get a bit heavier considering the fact that it is supposed to be just autumn rain. Now, most of the nation is being showered away at the moment. In the central regions over in the west coast, some areas are receiving a large amount of 60 millimeters. As for Seoul and Gyeonggi Province, we are receiving about 10 to 40 millimeters depending on where you are. But over in the east coastal regions, areas are receiving less than 5 millimeters. Overall, we are seeing quite a bit of rain, but conditions will clear out later in the day. However, you may want to keep in note that throughout this entire week in the weather forecast, we will either see precipitation or cloudy skies, so make sure to keep your umbrellas handy whenever heading outdoors. Now, as for the temperatures this morning, it's 20 degrees Celsius. Later, our highs won't be that far off due to the rain. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers around the nation. Seoul and Daejeon's highs will reach up to 24, Daegu at 27, Gangneung at 25, Busan will peak to 27, and Gwangju at 26, as Jeju will be the hottest at 28 degrees. That's all I have for the weather forecast. I'll be back in the latter half.
So what do you do when it's past midnight and you can't afford a cab ride home? Well, the Seoul city government has come to the rescue for those who enjoy their nightlife in the mega capital or have to work. And Arirang's Connie Lee is here to tell us more. So Connie, we are about to have buses that operate into the wee hours of the night.
Well, you're absolutely right. Seoul is a city that does not sleep, so it's not that surprising that the city government has launched these new owl buses to operate every day from midnight until 5 a.m.
And that could really work well for us who have to come into work by 3 a.m.
Yep, you're absolutely right. This works especially for commuters who have to work early morning like us or get off work late at night. And so from April until August, there were 2 routes that were circulating around Seoul in a trial run. But the buses were so popular that the government has decided to add 7 more routes, making it a total of 9 routes that will be operating through Seoul until 5 a.m. Now, night owls and early risers seem to be in favor of these new buses, but there are also those who are against them.
It's a little past midnight, and the first night bus of the day is off. This N37 will be making more than a dozen stops before it ends its route at 5 a.m.
My workday starts at midnight and my route ends at around 5 a.m., so I expect to be home a little before 6.
Branded as the Owl Bus, these night buses shine its owl logo on the front and side to signal their nighttime duty. The city of Seoul is currently running 2 night bus routes in a trial run, but come Friday, 7 more routes will be added to the list, making it 9 routes in total. The trial run of the first 2 routes was a success, with more than 2,000 passengers using the bus each day. The bus routes go through some of the most populated areas of Seoul, like Gangnam, which brings in crowds of late-night travelers.
It's past 2 a.m. here in Seoul, but as you can see behind me, this night bus is full of passengers.
So whether you're a night owl or an early riser, the Owl Bus seems like the way to go.
I'm using the night bus for the first time today after hanging out with friends. I think it's great and convenient. The bus stops near my house and it's also cheaper than taking a taxi.
At 1,851, or about $1.70, the Owl Bus is much cheaper than taking a taxi, which has a starting rate of about $2.60 after midnight. In a recent survey, the government found that 88% of Seoul residents are in favor of having these buses. But there are also those who are not so pleased.
I'm sure Seoul residents are in favor of the night buses, but for taxi drivers like us that get a lot of business in the late hours, these new buses are really going to affect our business.
Government officials, however, disagree.
The people who use the night buses are different from those who take taxis. Passengers who don't mind the waiting time will take the night buses, but those who want to get to their destinations quickly will take taxis. So we don't think taxi drivers will be that affected.
The wait for each bus could in fact be pretty long, 40 to 45 minutes on average. And as safety is a concern, especially late at night, the Owl buses cannot go beyond 70 kilometers an hour, and drivers are not those who have been working during the day.
Seoul is a city that is busy 24 hours a day, so we think these night buses will help a lot of people here get around the city safely, efficiently, and for a reasonable price.
Now, the ID for all of these OWL buses start with the letter N for night plus a 2-digit number. And passengers can get more information on the different bus routes and real-time arrival and departure times of these buses online on Seoul's transportation website, topis.seoul.go.kr, or on your cell phone, you go to m.bus.go.kr. Now, unfortunately, these sites are only in Korean for now, but perhaps they could soon come out with its English version soon.
I mean, yeah, it will definitely be a more cost-efficient and safe way to get home late at night.
Right.
But you mentioned that the bus routes were expanded. Do they have plans to further expand the bus routes if they are so popular?
For now, the Seoul City government says that they will see how the 9 routes work out before making any other plans. But they said that it is a possibility that they may add more routes or more night buses. And I can tell you from my own experience, these night buses are actually very popular and they're packed all throughout the night. So a lot of commuters and a lot of students. So the people taking these buses are very, it ranges.
And you mentioned that the color of the chairs are orange, which is also good. Aesthetically, I guess, right? And there's always been the need for the cities, like mega cities like Seoul, to have the buses running late at night too.
Well, you're right, especially that there are a lot of people who do work late into the night and early morning. And I can tell you that there are also other cities that have these night buses. It's not just Seoul. Cities like Chicago, Hong Kong, New York City. We also have the all-nighter in San Francisco. And we have the Nocturne in Paris. So Seoul has just joined these other major cities with these night buses that operate 24 hours a day.
And hopefully, if it works out, then we can see more of the bus routes expanded and maybe even nationwide. Maybe in a city like Busan, the second largest city, would need buses running late at night as well.
Right, possibly.
All right, thank you, Connie, for your report today. And jumping from one aspect of Seoul to another aspect of Seoul later on, Korea Today. Hidden in the bustling strips of Seoul are do-it-yourself beekeepers who harvest their own honey and also farmers who grow fresh produce in the middle of skyrocketing buildings. We meet the hardworking farmers in Seoul, so stay tuned.
But before we meet those farmers, we're going to take a moment to meet some 꽃탈배s. I can't help but crack up every time I say this
Flower
word.
grandpas.
That's right, literally translated as flowery grandpas, I suppose. But it really refers to the senior citizens who live their lives to the fullest.
And as the lyrics go, age ain't nothing but a number. Almost forgot that. We'll meet senior citizens in Korea who are living their lives to the fullest in their golden years.
A symbol of departure, freedom, and rebellion. Riders rev up their engines and off they go on their bikes. The motorcyclists are men, actually older men, who believe age is just a number. They're part of a senior motorcycle club. The members are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, with the eldest being 73 years old.
After a ride, all my worries disappear. I feel young when I ride my bike. Riding my motorcycle is a hobby that helps me feel younger than my actual age.
While some choose to sit back and watch life, they're passionately enjoying every moment of life. As the life expectancy inches towards 100, senior citizens in Korea are changing. Play hard, splurge, and enjoy life is the new motto, and new phrases referring to this new generation are appearing.
They actively express themselves and spend money on pop culture. They have experienced the economic growth process firsthand, so they're accustomed to displaying their desires and have a strong sense of competitiveness.
They're even at the center of attention of reality TV shows which capture the shifting attitude of new seniors, which is affecting the way the public views the elderly. Unlike conventional perceptions that the elderly were weak and no fun, these new seniors are more conscious about health and their looks and enjoy leisure activities. A common characteristic is that they spend a lot of money on arts and culture. This is a popular senior citizen culture center. It has a fitness center, cultural lectures, and a beauty aesthetics spa. Here, you don't see anyone just watching TV or playing a quiet game of Padu.
It's prettier this way. When I doll myself up like this, it's for self-satisfaction. I feel younger when I do. In my heart, I'm still in my 20s.
짜잔, 예쁘지 얘.
The government has also added leisure activities as a separate category in the welfare policy for senior citizens and double the budget so the elderly can continue to stay active and pursue a variety of interests. Another characteristic is the purchasing power of the new seniors. The spending of households in their 60s and above is rapidly increasing. New seniors are becoming leading consumers, so the silver industry targeting senior citizens is expanding in all areas, such as cosmetics, plastic surgery, IT devices, and traveling. New seniors are also known for their passion and dedication. At this model academy, taking the stage by storm are not the young models, but elderly models.
실버 모델이라니까. 만 50세 이상.
They're practicing for an upcoming fashion show hosted by the German consulate next month. Here we met Chun, who says the key to a happier senior life is keeping the heart young.
I don't feel like I've aged at all. I go to trendy clothes stores. I may look old, but I don't remind myself of my age.
Even at the age of 73, Chun tells us she has never missed a day at the gym in order to stay fit. She has lived over 30 years as a mother and a homemaker. It was only after she turned 70 that she was able to passionately pursue her dreams. For her, age is no reason to sit back and watch. It's a time to take on challenges and start a brand new life.
Don't limit yourself by thinking, I'm too old for this or I can't. Age is just a number, so you just need to try.
In the 1950s, the average life expectancy was not even 60. Now it has passed 80 years old. We live much longer than before, and soon the life expectancy will be closer to 100. Post-retirement is no longer a period to wait out your life. It has become a period to start what you have always desired to do. It's time for a new beginning.
Just to clear any confusion there, I was holding my nose in my dubbing room.
I was going to ask you what happened in the
It's my
dubbing room.
cold. Can you blame me?
The stuffy nose syndrome that you had there.
Well, the senior citizens we saw in the report really deserve to enjoy life. After all, they're the ones who led Korea's social, economic, and cultural development since the 1950s, and they made what Korea is today. So really, they have to enjoy life.
And that's why we are now at a state to be able to comfortably think about how to live our lives to the fullest after retirement. And there's an increasing number of facilities that aid the cultural and enjoyable activities that the senior citizens can do in Korea.
And these senior citizen centers, I think, need to expand to cater to all the senior citizens out there who spent their lives working, as you said, the Industrial Revolution, the industrialization of Korea, as well as much more. They putting their kids through college and then some, getting them married, all that and more. So it's really good to see these senior citizens enjoying life life to the
My
fullest.
question is that you 30 years down the road on that bike?
I would say so.
You're going to be
now?
a 꼬탈배.
Well, I hope so. I hope life is that good to me. All right, still ahead on Korea Today. Now, cooking is not all that easy when it comes to some of the hearty dishes that we show you sometimes on our eating segments. And sometimes you want to do it without creating a mess in the kitchen. Today on Hot Items, we'll show you some of the neatest smart appliances that'll help get food on your tables with simple cooking with Angela Park. And it's 7:29 a.m. on Korea Today, and joining us is Peter Bint. We're going to be talking about urban farming in Seoul, which has gone beyond just agriculture to apiculture. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Peter.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's autumn time now. The heat wave has definitely subsided, and autumn is the time for harvest. We've got Chuseok coming up soon in Korea, and as such, farmers are really busy. But even in the capital city, known for all its apartment complexes and tall buildings, there are nearly 12,000 farmers working hard for their harvest. And Seoul's top agricultural produce includes pear and rice. So why don't we take a look? Seoul is known for its apartment complexes and high-rises, so it's hard to believe that before 1970, agriculture made up for 39% of the capital's economy. But even in this day, working right in the heart of the sprawling metropolis are farmers, and I went to visit a pear orchard in the heart of the city.
Oh, interesting.
In amongst the apartments.
That's right.
Born and raised in Mukdong, famous for its pear orchards, Chong Hyun-ho has been a pear farmer all his life. Around this time every year, there's no time to rest since 450 of his pear trees are ready for harvest.
Right? They're very big. This one is as big as a child's head. This pear is a mokgol pear. It's famous in Seoul.
This mokgol pear is named after an old area in Seoul, where it was first harvested in 1930. The pear was famous for its great quality and offered up to kings. Now better known as the imperial pear, this produce is one of Seoul's finest.
The reason why I farm in the city is because I want to continue my father's legacy as a farmer.
Many consumers prefer these local farms since they can easily come by to choose the fruit and directly purchase them from the farm at an affordable price. Imperial pear farmers stick to eco-friendly cultivating methods. So to maximize sweetness, farmers use sandy soil known for its excellent drainage.
I would have to know where that place is.
Secret, we're not going to tell you.
The pears are delicious. This place is close, so it's convenient to come.
There are roughly 11,700 farmers in Seoul. It's convenient for them to sell their produce since there are a number of nearby markets. The popularity of mokgol pears continues on into weekend farming. What started out as only 120 pear trees on rent in 1999 has gained so much popularity that now over 500 trees are rented each year.
So these are your pears that you grow?
On a tree that you rent, yeah.
And you can write
These
your
are the names
on
of my
it.
children.
Absolutely.
Each are responsible for one tree.
Don't be all possessive.
I'm not sharing my pears from my rented tree.
In addition to pears, you can plant other vegetables like cucumbers and lettuce and visit anytime you want.
I like that I can touch the soil in the city. Also, I'm happy that I can grow organic vegetables.
Located at Han River's Nodal Island is another urban farm. This place is busy with its special autumn harvest. The Nodal Totbat is perfect for raising animals and bees. So every Saturday, urban beekeepers gather to harvest honey.
This is the apiculture I was talking about, raising
Wow,
bees, huh?
that's
Yeah,
scary.
your little babies. As a beginner, all you need is 10 hours of training before you get to manage your own beehive and harvest honey, so it's attracting a lot of people. With a recent increase in urban farming, pollination and bees are becoming a matter of interest as well.
10 hours of training, huh?
Yeah, they can be dangerous, so you need a bit of training. Last June, Mayor of Seoul, Park Won-soo, started beekeeping project on the rooftop of City Hall. And 80% of the crops we grow involve honeybees. In particular, almonds, apples, onions, and cucumbers rely heavily on bees for pollination. Honeybees also have positive effects on our environment, so urban beekeeping is becoming an important social trend.
I tell them about the importance of bees for our environment and ecology. Urban beekeeping is important because you can provide information to a lot of people.
Just like the urban farmers, hard at work in a concrete jungle, how about getting your hands and feet dirty with some farming this weekend?
It's a win-win situation.
Yeah, you get like pears and honey, which are quite expensive in the markets, right?
And you brought so many of those pears for us. Thank you so much.
They're huge, right? These are ones grown in Seoul.
In Seoul,
Yeah.
too. These are big.
This is
Who's going to go first?
Bigger than your face, may I?
Please.
You could
my
literally
face is a
cover her
lot
face.
bigger than this.
That'd be
but
great
it's
for
quite
Chuseok
big.
presents,
Look at this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well, can we try these?
Yeah,
okay,
apparently
well,
they
cut
taste
them
good.
up for us, okay?
Give them
and we
a
have
try.
some chopsticks here. All right, go ahead.
Eating a piece of pear with
Go ahead.
chopsticks.
They're
It's
supposed to
quite
be
tasty.
extra
It's
sweet.
So
just
these are
as
the-
good as those ones that are found in rural areas.
Yeah.
So I guess, wow, these are grown in Seoul, though.
Yeah, in between apartments.
I'm still amazed at the sheer size and weight of this. It's
I
like
know,
a
they're bigger than
pumpkin.
the average pear, right? And
Okay,
much
you wanna
better than pears in the UK.
Well, there are other produce grown in Seoul with these brand names.
Yes, yeah, there's rice. It's famous rice called Gyeongbokgung rice, so after the palace. And it's grown using some eco-friendly techniques. And that's by Gimpo Airport. There's a bit of a wasteland out there that can be used for farming. And it's known to be so tasty that each year there are none left over in their inventory.
Okay, so you can be a full-time farmer,
Yep.
but you can also be a part-time weekend farmer, as we like to call it.
Sure.
I think I'm in for the weekend farming. How can anyone just participate in that?
Sure, like we said, you can rent pear trees. You know, we've heard of renting cars and whatnot, but renting pear trees is the latest trend on a yearly basis. And what's great about the pear trees is underneath you can plant other crops like lettuce and things like that. And the landlord farmers, they'll help you with all the difficult parts like pollination, harvesting, and those paper covers that protect the fruit. So it's a great activity for the whole family.
What do you do then, basically? You just rent it and
You get to
go there
eat
and
the
pick it?
pears.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I was a little bit more fascinated in beekeeping personally. So you said it was a 10-hour training. So where can we go to get those trainings?
Well, yeah, it's a 10-week course, 1 hour each week. And that's because bees can be a little bit dangerous and tricky to handle. But once you've gone through that, then you can raise your bees in all those gardens that we saw on the video, even the rooftop of City Hall. It's amazing. And get that honey. And they're taking applicants right now until Saturday. So if you're interested, go to their website. It's facebook.com/urbanbeesseoul.
All right.
Thank you, Peter. Peter, I just felt my nose pop, so I can
It's a cure.
breathe now. Yeah, with this pear. Thank
Could
you.
this be the next big cure to a stuffy nose?
That's right.
All right, Peter. Thank you very much for
Thanks
that.
a lot.
Thanks.
And a good Wednesday morning to you all as we kick things off with the big match that took place last night between the Korean national football team and Croatia. A lot of expectations for the Taeguk Warriors, but in the end, they fell just short. Now, Croatia showing a very impressive game in the midfield, but the Korean defense even more impressive as they held the Croatian side to a scoreless draw after the first half of the match. But in the second half, the defense collapses against the quick passing of Croatia, giving up 2 goals in the second half.
Meanwhile, the Korean offense unable to capitalize in several scoring opportunities. Just get a last-second goal from Lee Gun-ho just before the whistle blows as Korea loses to Croatia 2-1. And despite the loss, Korea looks very optimistic before their October friendlies. Well, not the greatest night for all the football fans here in the nation last night, but same goes for all the baseball fans who missed out on the two big games due to the weather. Now, the Tucson Bears and the LG Twins series was canceled due to rain, and the Samsung Lions and the Nexon Heroes were canceled as well due to the weather conditions. But the other four teams got their games in as we start things off with the Lotte Giants taking on the NC Dinos. We're going to go over to the third inning of the game here. Bases loaded, no one out for the NC Dinos. Kim Jung-ho singles to left here. This scores 2 runners as the NC Dinos take a 2-0 lead. Next batter, Lee Sang-ho at bat bunts over the runners, and we now have men on second and third with 1 man out. Next batter here is super rookie Na Sung-ban, sends this to left field here. A sac fly scores the third run of the inning as NC takes the lead 3-0. Stays that way until the 7th inning when Jung-hoon comes up to bat and sends this one to deep left field. Back. This one is out of here. A solo shot cuts the deficit to 3-1 before Sona Sup with the bases loaded gets a sac fly to get the Lotte Giants a bit closer in this game. 9th inning, Son Min-an on the mound. Jung-hoon grounds out to the pitcher. 1 man out. Next batter, Cho Sung-hwan taps one to the pitcher as well. 2 men out now. Last hope for the Lotte Giants. Here's Hwang Jae-gyun. Strikes out, looking ball game over. NC takes this game 3-2. And next up, the SK Wyverns taking on the Kia Tigers. First inning here, Kim Kang-min, a 2-run double to right, gives the SK Wyverns the early 2-0 lead. Next inning here is Kim Joo-hyung deep to left field. Here we go, back on the track at the wall. Gone, a 2-run shot ties the ball game at 2-2. 4th inning of the game. Here's Kim Sung-hyun, a 2-run, a RBI double here to left, and SK takes the lead once again. Shifting to the 7th here is Park Ki-nam, an RBI double to left center field, and we have a brand new ball game. Next inning, here's Choi In-sung, drives this one to left field, a solo shot over the left field wall as SK now takes the lead 4-3. 9th inning, here is Chejung to close things off, an RBI double to left as the SK Wyverns hang on to take this game 5-3, your final score. And staying in baseball, where it's no surprise that some of the pitchers in the KBO have been getting interest from overseas teams. And the two big names at the moment are Oh Sung-hwan of the Samsung Lions and Yoon Sung-min of the Kia Tigers. And while Oh Sung-hwan has been getting a lot of interest from Japan and the U.S., looks like Yoon Sung-min is still the better pitcher according to the Major League scouts. While the Samsung Lions closer is posting a better record this season compared to Yoon Sung-min, many scouts believe that the Kia Tiger ace will eventually get more interest after the season. Scouts believe that Oh Sung-hwan might be able to close for a lower team in the majors, but Yoon Sung-min's experience as a starting pitcher will raise his value more. Now, both pitchers are set to be free agents after the season and will be seeking a contract with either the NPB or the MLB. And now over to basketball, where Game 3 of the semifinals between Korea University and Yonsei University took place yesterday, with Korea University pulling away with a 81-75 win thanks to Lee Jong-hyun's 30-point effort, and Park Jae-hyun also contributing with 22 points in the game as well. Now, with the win, Korea University will now face off against Kyunghee University in the finals. So with that said, that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
I didn't know about this. Did you know about this?
No,
Hot dog eating contest?
No, but all I know is that I can probably have 2 and I'm about full. But some of these professional eaters, they can down anywhere
gobble
between
up
50 to 60 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
Let's go back to our Dami and see what she's up to. She's joining us from a dairy cow show. I don't know what that is.
Well, it's amazing. I really have to give it to our
There she
production
is.
crew for finding these places. Dami, tell us all about it.
I'm back reporting live from the Poulsen Holstein Show. So the Holsteins are basically a breed of black and white dairy cattle. You might have seen them or recognized them on ads for milk cartons. Now, today we're going to be seeing 100 livestock, and of the many, they are going to give awards to the 12 best. Now, the Poulsen Holstein Show is being anticipated by many people because there will be judges from the local governments. Now, the Holstein Show in general is held throughout different parts of the nation, but the purpose of the show is to assess efforts such as grading livestock and comparing the results here that will help the industry grow, also to let others know about the support from Poulsen to these dairy farming businesses. Now, today marks the 8th anniversary, and right now we're seeing these black and white dotted creatures that are waiting to become grand champions. Holstein are known to adapt very well to their surrounding, and they're known to be quite docile. They yield large quantities of milk, having low content of butterfat. As a matter of fact, the female Holstein produces about 5,000 to 6,000 kilograms of milk on a yearly basis. So they produce the most milk out of dairy cattle, but with the lowest percentage of fat at 3.5%. All right, so how do the judges select who will become the grand winner? Well, they say that the nice and healthy cattle, the ones where the bones should be noticeable and have a thin tail, the udder should be large and have a nice balance overall. So, and they shouldn't have too much fat on their body as well. So, I mean, to tell you the truth, after checking most of the criteria, I wouldn't be not really sure which one will become the grand champion, but whoever is, the lucky winner is going to get this huge trophy. All right, so hopefully through the Poulsen Holstein Show, our dairy industry development will become or will improve even more in the future. I wish all the best of luck to the cows today. I'm Idami, Korea Today.
On a rainy or a gloomy day like today, it's good to have a nice hot broth, but sometimes these dishes are difficult to prepare. To make your life just a little bit easier, Angela Park joins us. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm here to represent all the newbie cookers that have trouble cooking. We have a lot of smart appliances that break it down to simplify the process of a lot of our very delicious, but like you say, kind of complicated traditional Korean dishes.
Okay, so we are going to obviously start out with rice cookers because rice is the staple dish of all Korean meals.
Pretty much every home in Korea has a rice cooker, right? So this is the Lihome Kuchen rice cooker, and believe it or not, it was able to bring in $20 million in the first half of this year in terms of just foreign exports alone. So, you know, it's just your standard rice cooker when you take a look at it.
Keeps on talking to me.
It's a smart appliance, right? But before I get into all the nitty-gritty details, I want you to be the ultimate judge and test the rice. We actually have rice for you. So if you look right here, ooh, look at that.
Okay.
Steaming, right? Here's a little dish for you. Oops.
Just take a little bit.
And try some right there. How does that taste?
It's juicy. The texture is just fabulous. Wow, this is great.
Right. So it's your standard rice cooker.
I could use some soy sauce or kimchi, but
let's be honest. I mean, it's not that hard to find a good rice cooker, right? But what sets this appliance apart from others is the fact that it uses induction heater system. And what that basically means is that it uses induction coils to evenly distribute the heat so that every grain is targeted. It cooks thoroughly, and it gives it a very glossy and tasty texture and consistency as well.
Okay, so rice isn't the only thing that you can cook on this, right?
No.
But it also has some smart features as well.
Isn't it amazing what we can do with our smartphones? You can actually cook with your smartphone these days. So this Lihome Kuchen product, it comes with a smartphone application. So I'm opening it up right now, right? And so it comes with different choices. And so we're going to cook. So we push the cooking feature. There's rice, there's porridge, there's also different types of dishes. We're going to go with the jim feature there.
Okay. Some of the jims that we can do. The jims they've been broiled and boiled over time. 갈비 jim could be a good example.
We're going to go
spare
with
ribs.
samgyetang today
Okay,
because
samgyetang or chicken ginseng soup.
Changing of seasons or temperatures. We're going to go ahead and protect our health there. So it shows you a little intro of the dish itself and then all the ingredients that you need and how to cook it. Basically,
oh, wow.
You throw all the ingredients in here and then you can start the cooking process with your smartphone. So you push the cook feature. Let me shut this so I can show you how it works. But you push the cook feature and then you put it to what's called NFC. That's a near field communication. And that will start the cooking for you in about 2 to 3 seconds after that. And so if you notice the cooking time for samgyetang, it's at about an hour. Young, you and I do not have an hour on this show.
No.
So we started cooking it before the show. Let me show you the results. There we go.
Okay, well, I wish our cameras can get it. Are we getting it? Okay, there it is. This is the ginseng chicken soup, and it's all prepared. You know, I don't really need to have the chicken right now. I just have some rice, so I'll just try some.
The broth is
broth
most
here.
important for samgyetang anyway,
This is very
right?
important. Let's try a little bit of that.
You're getting to eat a lot today.
How
is
very
that?
Good. Perfect seasoning.
Okay.
And I think this rice cooker, this samgyetang cooker, did the perfect job there. It tastes good. I like it.
Good. You're the judge. So if we pleased you, then the product, we can move on, right?
Okay. So this NFC capability, the smartphone capability, is more to be used as a convenient feature where you can get the recipes and just go ahead and put it on there and do it, right? But it's not working over Wi-Fi, so you can't do it from a distance.
A lot of people are like, what's the point of having a smartphone feature if you have to put it on the rice cooker anyway? But if you take a look at the front, there's so many different buttons.
Yeah.
You don't know what to push for what dish. But on your smartphone, it simplifies it. You pick the dish and then you cook the cooking process, and this machine, the appliance on its own, figures out whatever time, whatever heat level, whatever it is that's required to cook your dish.
All right, so not just rice, you can use it for a lot of different gyms as well.
Yes.
And I have not seen many of these around. I've seen some of these in Oriental medicine hospitals and stores and such.
It's called a double boiler, and you're right. A lot of people associate it with Oriental medicine because they tend to brew a lot of the herbs and whatnot to create stuff that's good for us. And so the double boiler, this is the Oku double boiler, and so they took after our Korean ancestors that had discovered the cauldron double boiling process. And the key to the double boiling process is that it maintains the nutrients in your dish, because when you cook it often, a lot of things are lost in the process. So double boiling ensures that you get to keep that, right?
So this is a slow, long boiling and cooking process.
Absolutely. It does take a long time. So again, we had to cook our dishes before the show, but let me show you the Exhibit A that we have lined up for you. And it may look pretty simple at the surface, but if I open up this pot,
okay, so we have, these aren't boiled eggs.
No.
These are actually baked eggs. You can get these at jjimjilbangs and saunas. They're called baekbanseok. But the thing is, the trick is having that smoked flavor to it.
Because on the outside, it looks like your typical hard-boiled egg.
Oh, wow.
But look at the color.
Wow. Okay, look at that. I mean, because when you normally boil an egg, you'll get the white color, but this is a little bit different, in fact.
Baked, right?
And it has a scent to it too. It smells just like it.
So you get to do it, but at your convenience at home, you get to make your own eggs. Not only that, I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, okay, it's just eggs. What's the big deal? Have you ever tried making tteok or rice cake?
It's a very difficult process to make tteok.
Exactly. But with this, it takes about 2 hours to make tteok. But we prepared rice cake. You put in the ingredients, you push the button, and if you take a look inside, very nutritional, right? We have tteok.
That was great.
It actually smells
So,
delicious.
so with the right ingredients, all it takes is a matter of 2 hours, and then you'll have that. That's the finished product.
Now, a lot of people, even I kind of wondered at the beginning, how does this process exactly work? Now, it uses a heat convection current flow system using hot steam. So if you help me, Young, right here, could you lift this entire thing off, please? Okay. This is the heating plate. And so how this works is you pour water on here. There's no water that goes in the dish itself, just in your heating plate. You fill it up to the certain certain level, and then the water heats up. That is what's cooking your food. And there's also far infrared rays that heat up the moisture within your dish as well.
Okay. Well, so this is the process that uses the hot water to cook it instead of steam or flame.
And I really like this this pot as well. It's
Yeah.
made from germanium. It rids of odor, bacteria, pesticides.
So it has disinfecting qualities as well. All right, well, it
Absolutely.
sounds like breakfast is served here on Korea Today. We'll be joined by Minjung and Hyungyung after the program. But thank you for joining us, Angela, and introducing these products to us.
Thank you very much.
But moreover, thank you for the food.
Yeah, I'm hungry as well.
All right, on behalf of everyone on Korea Today, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 7 a.m. So, what should we have first, the chicken or the egg?
I want the dog, what you're talking about, so I'm going to go on this way.
Why don't you come join us?